Great new day to all my self-care family and friends. Welcome back to another Room to Breathe podcast. I'm your host, Life Coach 614, and I am so happy that you made space to be here with us today. Now, before we get into today's episode, do me a quick favor. If you're feeling the vibe, go ahead and show some love. Tap that screen, like, comment, but most importantly, please share this out with someone who may need a little healing energy today. And if this is your first time here or you haven't already done so, go ahead, hit that follow button, subscribe to our channel, so that way you're always tapped in when a new episode drops. I also want to personally invite you to check out our digital home at the selfcareclub.org, where you will find everything from affirmative apparel to motivational merch and a lot of free resources to help nourish your growth and remind you that you are supported every step of the way. I want you to know that you don't have to do this alone. We are healing in community, growing one breath, one moment, one day at a time. So today, I encourage you to give yourself permission to pause, to reflect, and to make space for peace, for growth, but most importantly for you. And if anything in today's episode hits home, be sure to drop some green hearts in the chat. It's our community's way of saying that I'm healing, I'm growing, and I'm showing up for me. Now, let's get ready to breathe, reflect, and grow together. Today, I wanted to obviously talk about healing, right? It's what we do every day. But I wanted to talk about how somewhere along the way, healing became a trend. Right? It's like you see it all over the place. You know, I'm healing, the glow up, a soft life, whatever. Right? And so suddenly healing has become a trend, like a look or an aesthetic, a brand. I mean, I myself have built a brand surrounded by healing. Right? But between the self-care Saturdays and, that girl routine, it's like there's like this never ending parade of healing era. There's all these captions, and peace started to feel like something. I think it's starting to feel like something that we have to perform instead of something that we should practice. Welcome in, Kale. Right? I think somewhere along the lines, we've traded in authenticity for aesthetics. We've learned how to look healed without actually feeling whole. Y'all know the vibe I'm talking about, right? Those color-coded affirmation cards that are taped to the mirror, or the matching journal and candle set, that deep caption about choosing peace, right? And it's under a perfectly posed photo of someone. But if we're being real, some of those posts were typed through tears. It's not always what it seems. Because peace doesn't always look pretty. Sometimes it's a pile of laundry on the floor that you're too tired to fold. Sometimes it's crying in the shower so your family doesn't hear you. Sometimes it's finally blocking that number while your hands are shaking, your heart is racing, because you know that this time you mean it, that you're done. Welcome in. Hello. And if I'm being honest, sometimes it's not healed girl energy, right? It's me trying to keep it together at 3 a.m. energy. It's God, I'm tired, but I'm still trying energy. It's I want to be better, but I'm still bleeding from the things that broke me energy. Right? Healing is ghetto. And so we're living in a world that sells self-love like it's some sort of skincare routine. Right? Exfoliate the pain, moisturize your mindset, glow from within. Thank you, Serenity. But nobody's talking about the nights that you stare in the mirror and the reflection blinks back your triggers. Nobody's teaching us what to do when, positive vibes only doesn't cut it. when the affirmations don't feel true, they don't feel real, and when the peace feels like a stranger and your old chaos keeps calling your name. You can't filter, your way through the parts of you that still hurts. You can't affirm your way past accountability. You can't curate your chaos to make it more comfortable. We've got to begin to understand that healing isn't always brand safe or camera ready. Sometimes it's ugly. It is unpredictable. It is uncomfortable. But that's what makes it real. Because the goal was never to look peaceful, right? The goal was to be peaceful. The goal was to become whole. Thank you. And you know what? The most beautiful part about all of this is that peace might not photograph well, but that's the kind of beauty that lasts. See, these days, I think everybody wants to be the main character, right? But what happens when the script that you're reading from wasn't even written by you? When your storyline was shaped out of survival, not self-awareness. When every single chapter that you've lived has been edited to make everybody else more comfortable. I think that we've been told over the years that being that girl, right, meant that you had to walk with your head high, keep it cute, never let them see you sweat. So we've learned how to perform strong. We learned how to play confident. We learned how to turn our pain into poetry. Welcome in, Lisa. We've turned our heartbreak into hashtags, our tears into testimonies that sound good but still hurt. And so here's the real question. Do you know how to just be? Not be impressive, not be inspiring, but just be human. Because sometimes I think that this main character energy that we love to flaunt is really just a dressed up trauma response. We perform independence because we've never had dependable people. We perform confidence because we got tired of being underestimated. We perform peace because we don't feel safe exposing our pain. We've been auditioning for worthiness our entire lives, and we didn't even know it. I mean, just think about it. How many times have you smiled through sorrow just to keep the room comfortable? How many times have you said, "I'm good," when your soul was screaming out for rest? How many times have you had to be the strong friend, the go-to, the glue that keeps everything together, and wondered why nobody checked on you? That is not healing. That's hiding. That's a, protecting type of skill, right? That's protecting a version of you that doesn't need protection anymore. Because, even a mask with glitter still hides a wound underneath. No matter how pretty that mask is, it still hides something underneath. And here's the truth. The more you pretend to be healed, the longer it takes for those wounds to breathe. Sometimes main character energy turns into main performance energy. It's like you wake up every day playing a role of this resilient man or resilient woman, but inside of you, you are tired of auditioning for peace. It is time for us to wake up and understand that you don't need to rehearse your worth. You already are. And so I think that the real main character moment isn't when you walk into the room glowing. It's when you can sit in silence, face your shadows, and say, I don't have to perform power to prove that I'm healed. I think that, somewhere between this grind or hustle culture and the glow culture, we just changed the outfit of our exhaustion. It's like we stopped glorifying overwork and started glamorizing overhealing. We traded hustle for healing hustle. And so now, is it not only rise and grind, but it's rise and realign, right? We've graduated from team no sleep to team self-care before sunrise. And while the language has changed, the pressure that comes with it has stayed the same. We're still tired. We're, we just learned how to make it look peaceful. We're still pushing ourselves to prove that we're okay. But only now we're calling it doing the work. But if your healing feels like another hustle, you might have just rebranded your burnout. You can't schedule serenity. You cannot bullet journal your way into inner peace. Because true healing doesn't just come from how well you manage your emotions. It comes from how deeply you meet them. Your peace shouldn't feel like pressure. If your self-care checklist is longer than your grocery list, then baby, listen, you are not nurturing your soul. You are simply micromanaging your misery. So we have to understand that sometimes healing looks like not doing a damn thing, right? It's skipping, the meditation app and just laying on the floor. It's crying in the car, mascara running, gospel music blasting, whispering, God, I don't got it today. Hey, Cookie. Right? It's okay to say, you know what, God, I don't got it today. And that's okay. Because that is still growth. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to deserve your downtime. Rest is your birthright, not a reward for your productivity. And I get it. When you lived in survival mode for so long, stillness feels foreign, right? That silence starts to feel unsafe. You start to think, if I'm not doing something, I must be falling behind. But today, I want you to know that you're not behind. You are healing. You are learning that rest isn't retreat, it is repair. It is something that you deserve. Each and every one of us deserves. And so I want to talk about what happens tired, right? We all want to be that girl. But let's talk about that girl. The one who has her face beat, her edges laid, her lashes fluttering slow motion under the soft glow of that golden hour lighting. That girl. She got her matcha in one hand, her manifestation journal in the other, and the caption reads, healing, but make it aesthetic. But behind all of that glow, all of those masks, she's still tired. And I'm not talking about just the I need a nap tired. I'm talking about spiritually tired, emotionally tired. Tired of pretending that the soft life is easy, because it ain't. And so now you're tired of, turning breakdowns into reels. Tired of being the inspiration when really what you need is an intercession. Tired of performing composure because vulnerability doesn't go viral. Tired of holding it all together for everyone else while you're falling apart silently. If I'm being honest, that girl doesn't always feel like that girl. Right? I can admit that some days I'm barely holding it together, but still showing up. I'm that girl. Right? Fighting through fatigue and faith at the same time. I'm that girl. Praying under my breath while smiling through the pain. I'm that girl. And that's okay. Because the soft life isn't about perfect moments. It's about peaceful ones. It's not about pretending, every day is a spa day. Welcome in, thick, classy queen. It's about protecting your spirit when the world feels heavy. The soft life isn't always bubble baths and brunch. Sometimes the soft life is blocking your ex and deleting his playlist. Sometimes it's canceling your plans because your peace costs too much. Sometimes it's saying, no, I cannot pour into that right now because I'm too busy refilling me. I want you guys to know it's okay to be that girl. Right? Instead of being the one who's drained, be the one that is showing up with tears in her eyes and faith in her chest. The one who doesn't post every prayer but still prays daily. The one who's not chasing an image, she's chasing intimacy with herself and with God. Be that girl. Because you don't owe the world a version of you that is always shining. You owe yourself permission to rest, to sit in the dim light and just be. What parts of your that girl identity are actually cries for rest disguised as discipline? It's time for us to normalize, giving ourselves permission to be soft, even when the world expects us to be strong. Our rest is not rebellion, it is our renewal. And there is an ugly side to the glow up culture. I don't think that many people are talking about the grief that comes with growth. Everybody celebrates the glow up, the rebrand, the new me loading type of energy, but nobody prepares you for the funeral that follows. Because when you evolve, you don't just outgrow habits, you outgrow humans. You start seeing things differently, seeing people for who and what they really are. And sometimes your glow means walking away from people who only loved you when you were dim, right? That dimmed version of you. The version that made them feel comfortable. That made them feel needed. I think that growth is a gorgeous hindsight. But in real time, it is gut-wrenching. It's lonely. It's confusing. It's quiet. Healing changes your energy. And when that shift happens, your circle gets smaller. Not because you're better than anybody, but because your piece is no longer a fit for every room. We live in a society where we glamorize transformation like it's a photo shoot. But for anybody who has ever seen the transformation of a butterfly, baby, you know that cocoon is not cute. It is cramped. It is dark. It is silent. When a butterfly goes into the cocoon, it literally transforms. Not a butterfly into the cocoon, but when the caterpillar goes into the cocoon, it literally transforms into just goo. right? It's the place where you lose shape, where you shift before you find your wings. And again, it is not cute. So we have to understand that you don't get to skip the surrender. You don't get to fast forward through the becoming. That chrysalis phase has to happen. Because true transformation, and I'm talking about the kind that lasts. I'm not talking about like the diet. Oh, I'm going to do this today, but I'm not going to do that tomorrow, right? I'm talking about true transformation. Requires a full undoing. Butterflies don't rush their process. Like I said, they dissolve completely before they can ever fly. Everything that they were, everything that they knew, melts down into nothing before the miracle begins. Welcome in, butterfly. Listen, look at you. Perfect timing. Right? And so every single ounce of what that butterfly was when it was a caterpillar is gone. It had melted down into absolutely nothing. And that's the part that we don't post, right? That's the part that we hide behind quotes when we say we're leveling up or we're protecting our peace. But I need for you to hear me when I say you cannot rush resurrection. You can't hurry healing just because your ego is tired of waiting. The glow up isn't instant, it's intentional. And so if you skip the cocoon, you'll never understand the freedom of the flight. We've got to begin to truly understand that sometimes the ugliest season is the holiest one. Because it's where you stop performing. You stop pretending. You start trusting that what's breaking you is also birthing you. You cannot hurry healing. You can only honor it. And so ask yourself, who or what have you been trying to outgrow faster than, what God is growing through you? Who or what have you been trying to outgrow faster than God is growing through you? It is time for us to honor our becoming, even when it's uncomfortable. Understanding that our glow doesn't need to be glamorous to be real. Sometimes peace feels boring, right? Another part that nobody warns you about, that calm after the storm, the quiet after the storm. The part of healing that doesn't get soundtracked or celebrated. The part where nothing seems to be happening. And you start to wonder, is this peace or am I just numb? Because when you've lived your whole life in survival mode, when your nervous system has been trained to expect chaos, peace can feel like withdrawal. Thank you. Right? You start getting uneasy when things are calm. You're waiting for the shoe to drop. You mistake silence for something being wrong. Because no news can't be good news. Right? And that's because for so long, noise, chaos, toxicity, that was your normal. But let's call it what it is. Trauma made chaos feel like company. So when you finally get still, it's almost too quiet for you to trust it. You start thinking, you get in your head. You tell yourself that something's missing, or why does this feel so boring? But that's not emptiness. That's evidence. And what I mean when I say that's evidence, that is evidence that your nervous system is healing. It's evidence that Your peace is finally louder than your panic. It's evidence that you no longer need drama to feel alive. You're not losing your spark. You're just losing your triggers. You're not too calm. You're just finally resting in what you've always prayed for. See, chaos has a rhythm. Hey, Miss Jordan. Right? And that rhythm, it keeps you moving. It keeps you distracted and reacting. But peace doesn't dance like that. It just flows slowly. It asks you to breathe deeper, move quieter, listen closer. And that stillness is where God speaks. But we don't always recognize him there. Because he's not showing up in the same noise that broke us, right? Oh, if he was yelling at us and cussing us out and screaming and giving us all that toxic narcissistic energy, we would recognize him. We'd hear him. But in the still of the night, we don't always hear him because he's not showing up in that same noise that broke us. He's showing up in the stillness that's rebuilding us. And here's the thing. Peace isn't supposed to excite you. It's supposed to ease you. If it feels boring, that's just your spirit adjusting to safety. Welcome in. Thank you guys for being here. If your body, like I said, if the situation feels boring, your spirit is just getting adjusted to finally being safe. It's your body's, realizing that it doesn't have to stay in this fight or flight mode anymore. So don't rush to feel the void in that silence. Don't chase chaos just because, the calm feels uncomfortable. Welcome in, Miss Sherry. Happy Tuesday. Give yourself time to learn the language of peace, because one day soon, that quiet that you're currently afraid of is going to start to feel like home to you. One day you're going to wake up and your affirmation for the day will be, my peace may feel unfamiliar, but it's mine and I'm learning to love it. I'm willing to embrace it. When was the last time you sat in stillness without reaching for your phone, without worrying about your to-do list or your distractions? What would it look like to choose calm on purpose? Even if your mind craves chaos, what would it look like? Healing isn't always marketable. It's not always sellable, y'all. Healing isn't always something that you can post about. Nobody's out here uploading their breakdowns. Some people are. I take that back. Some people are. I don't think they're doing it intentionally. I think it just happens. But, we don't oftentimes see the anxiety spirals or the nights that they cry into their pillow because they're tired of being strong. It's not often that, people are live streaming the moment they realize they still miss somebody who hurt them. Who's hashtagging skip therapy today because I couldn't face my feelings? That's not trending, right? Yet there's, that's where the real healing actually happens. Not the polished posts or Pinterest quotes, but the unshared, unseen, unfiltered moments. The ones that nobody claps for. The ones that will never go viral. The ones that are so personal to us that We can only whisper them to God, hoping that He hears us. Thank you, Ralph. Healing isn't trending. It's transforming. Thank you. And sometimes transformation doesn't look inspiring. Sometimes it looks like isolation. For some of us, sometimes it looks like deleting the app, unfollowing the noise, sitting with the silence until your spirit stops shaking. Sometimes it looks like admitting, right? Admitting, I don't know who I am without the pain, but I'm ready to find out. Bookish vibes, welcome in. This era that we live in is so obsessed with the aesthetic of healing. The candles, the crystals, the calm playlists. But nobody's really talking about the cost of healing. Like I said, the people you lose, the truth that you have to face, the humility that it takes to realize you were the problem sometimes. Real healing doesn't always photograph well. Like, Snapchat doesn't have a filter for forgiveness. ChatGPT can't help you with a caption for true accountability. I've yet to find a viral sound on TikTok for surrender. But that's okay, right? Because the version of you that the world applauds for may never be the one that God anoints. The internet loves image, but God loves integrity. He's not impressed by your soft life posts if your heart is still hard. He's not moved by your highlight reel. He's moved by your honesty. You being real, right? He's not asking you to be perfect. He's just asking you to be present. So I encourage you to stop trying to make your process pretty. Stop editing your evolution just to make it easier for other people to digest. Your becoming won't always be brand safe. It will not always be aesthetically pleasing to the eye, but it will be beautiful. And sometimes the most divine thing that you can do is heal quietly, without the audience, without the applause, without the external validation. Real healing doesn't need a platform. It just needs a place. And that place is sacred. Welcome in, Kate. That place is you. As you edit, trying to think of how I want to word this. Maybe more so in the form of a question. Are you editing your evolution to make it easier for people to digest? Or are you allowing yourself to unfold exactly as you are? Messy and magnificent at the same time? We don't need to legitimize our healing, because our transformation is sacred, even when it's unseen. We have to practice peace, right? The practice of peace, because peace isn't passive. It's practice. It's not just, something that you feel when you're on vacation or in a perfectly lit room with your incense burning. It's something that you build daily with boundaries and honesty and grace. I used to think that the soft life was a luxury until I learned that it was a language. I learned that it was more about how to speak kindly to myself when I fell short. It's saying, I forgive you to the reflection in the mirror. It was me learning to choose calm over chaos. Not because it's easy, but because it's sacred. You know, the real soft life isn't about matching pajamas and brunches. It's about matching your peace with your purpose. It's the quiet no that honors your boundaries. It's the moment you stop explaining your worth and you start embodying it. It's choosing to walk away instead of waiting to be wounded again. Welcome in, Janice. Thank you so much. Grand Rising, Shonda. Welcome in. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Pennsylvania, my neighbor. Peace isn't a post. It's a practice. It's something that you wake up and recommit to every single day, especially the days your triggers try to talk louder than your truth. And sometimes practicing peace means disappointing people who loved your chaos, because your stillness exposes their noise. It's not that you've changed too much. It's simply that you finally stop shrinking. Peace will ask you to unplug. Thank you. Right? It'll ask you to say no to good things and say yes to God things. It'll let you sit, in silence. And it'll have you allow your silence to speak for you, to resist explaining your boundaries, to stop overperforming for love. That's not selfish, it's stewardship. Right? Peace is a gift, but it is also responsibility. You have to protect it like the promise it is. And I know that is uncomfortable at first, right? Because the healed version of you might not be as fun as, the old one, right? The one who, it may not be as fun for the people who loved your dysfunction, but that's okay, because peace doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. Something that I've learned in my healing journey is that my peace is personal, right? My peace is personal, not performative. I protect what I pray for, even when it costs me my comfort, because I prayed for this. I prayed to heal. So I'm going to protect my healing. And so I want you to ask yourself, where in your life are you confusing peace with people pleasing? And what would it look like to make decisions from calm instead of chaos? This week, I want you guys to just slow down and check your intentions. Ask yourself, am I doing this from peace, or am I doing this for praise? Is this coming, from alignment or anxiety? From love or from fear? Because sometimes what looks like progress is really performance. And what looks like moving on is just moving around the pain instead of moving through it. Let your healing be honest. That sometimes means letting your process be private. You don't have to post proof that you're progressing. Peace doesn't need a witness. And then you say, amen. Peace doesn't need a witness. You are allowed to heal quietly. You are allowed to grow without validation. You are allowed to protect your process while God perfects your peace. And then you say peace of mind. Who gave y'all my notes today, huh? Shonda and Andrew over here finishing my sentences. Who gave y'all my notes? Y'all got the cheat sheet for class today? What y'all doing? Remember, guys, you are not the performance. You are the person. And that alone is divine because you are wonderfully, fearfully made, right? You are the story, not the script. You are the process, not the post. Welcome in, Lady Blue. You are proof that healing is real. Not because the world sees it, but because you feel it. So take a breath. Release the pressure. You don't have to be that girl. You just have to be this woman, the one who's becoming, who's balanced, who's breathing. Our affirmation for this week is, I release the proof I'm at peace. I choose to live it instead. I release the need to prove I'm at peace. I choose to live it instead. I release the need to prove I'm at peace. I choose to live it instead. Choose something that brings you quiet joy this week. It could be, like I said, a walk without your phone, a nap without guilt, a prayer whispered in stillness. Whatever it is, let that be your practice of peace. Because peace isn't a mood, it's a muscle. And the more you practice, the stronger it gets. I want you guys to take a deep breath with me, in through your nose and out through your mouth. Breathe in. And exhale. Again, breathe in. And exhale. As we start to wrap things up, I just want to speak directly to someone. I don't know who this is for, but I just want you to know that you don't owe the world a highlight reel of your healing. You don't have to document every milestone, every journal entry, every prayer that got answered in the dark. You don't have to prove that you've evolved. The peace that lives inside of you now is proof enough. You've got to understand that some seasons are meant to be sacred, not shared. Some breakthroughs belong in your vault of becoming. Because real healing, the kind that changes you from the inside out, doesn't need applause. It just needs acceptance. So just let your soft life be sacred. Let your rest be radical in a world that worships productivity. Let your stillness be your strength and your surrender be your superpower. Stop waiting for validation and start honoring your vibration. That quiet hum inside your spirit says, I'm finally safe. Honor that. Take the filters off your freedom and breathe. No more matching aesthetic, no curated captions, no audience required. Just you showing up for you. Because peace is personal. Purpose is private, and healing doesn't need a hashtag. At the end of the day, you are the main character, not because the world sees you, but because you finally see yourself. You finally see the version of you that's been fighting to come forward, the one who stopped apologizing for needing rest, the one who no longer seeks closure from the same doors that God already closed, the one who's not performing perfection, but practicing his or her peace. And listen, that kind of power, it can't be captured in a post. That's what makes it divine. That's what healing feels like when it's real. So tonight, when you lay your head down, I want you to whisper to yourself, I'm proud of me. I'm proud of me, not for what I posted, but for what I survived. Because you've come too far to confuse your validation, to confuse validation with your value. I want you to tell yourself, I am no longer the performance. I am the peace. That your healing is holy, your rest is revolutionary, and your softness is your strength. Now, before we part ways, let me leave all of you with just a little love and light. As always, I encourage you to keep breathing through the highs, the lows, and every moment in between. I want you to keep choosing peace, even if it feels out of reach. And know that here at the Self-Care Club, you will always be seen, always valued, always supported. So don't be afraid to take up space, speak your truth, and make a little room for you to breathe. I love each and every one of you to life, and I am praying that your day is not just amazing, but aligned, intentional, and yes, on purpose, filled with purpose. This has been another Room to Breathe podcast, and I cannot wait to connect with you all again soon. Thank you.